Welcome, hope holders. Hey, hope holders, welcome to the very first podcast of me, Mary Judd Wysiak. And here we are. We're calling this podcast The Other Nine because there's 10 guiding principles of recovery. And I feel like peer support recently has gotten a lot of attention, rightfully so. But I really wanted to kind of remind us of the other 9 guiding principles of recovery. And so that's what this podcast is about. We're going to talk about everything recovery except peer support. It might come up, but it's not a focus. So
Okay.
that's okay. So I just
Yeah,
heard
it
from
will.
my first guest. My first guest here is John Murphy. And the reason that John is my first guest is because John and I have known each other for a really long time. And if we're going to talk about recovery, I don't know, John's just been an integral part of my professional recovery journey, in my work journey, where we've been actually working, where you can take your recovery and turn it into something that makes the difference in people's lives and earns you a little bit of money.
Yes.
So, John Murphy, how are you?
Pretty good.
You're retired
Keeping
now,
out of
right?
trouble. Yes, I retired a couple months ago.
All right, and
And
tell us kind of work backwards. You worked for Passages for how long?
10 years.
10 years. So 10 years at Passages Family Support, and before
And then
that,
I worked 24 years before that
with
at Eastern State Hospital,
and
the
what was your
patient
job at Eastern?
the patient advocate.
Patient advocate. Yep. That was fun. I used to, and you used to have me come in and do trainings. They don't invite me
Yeah,
in anymore. I don't understand it.
they don't invite it. They don't have recovery, so to speak, there anymore. It's
You know
not.
what? This is what I want to talk about, John. I really want to talk about this. Um, okay, so I just have so much I want to talk about. And people like you have been around for a long time. Here's what happened. First of all, before I get too much started, I want to thank you, and I mean that seriously, from all the years of all the people whose lives you've touched. I really want to thank you for that because you've done a good job.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. The other thing is, the state put out an RFP for a convenience grant. I don't know, I've never seen it before, but it makes sense. It's like, anyway, they want to know my experience in in training on recovery. I know, right? How do you capsulize the last 30 years of your life? I'm not sure, but I managed to. I went back. And here's what I realized is that I've been teaching about recovery since before the SAMHSA consensus statement on recovery came out. I've been
Yeah.
teaching about recovery long before it was even like codified. And they put out, and the feds put out like an actual definition of what recovery looks like. And it's so interesting to me. So I did this whole history of myself. I kind of went through my job and all the trainings I've done and all the different things I've done. And it seems to me that recovery, the conversation started in the late 90s, and then it kind of crescendoed, and then and people started paying attention to it, and behavioral health agencies tried to become recovery oriented or recovery based services, and that was a big thing. And
Mhm.
then peer support was introduced and starting to make tractions, and then it seems like with the Affordable Care Act, the states started to integrate behavioral health, substance use. In Washington, it was substance use disorder, mental health services, and problem gambling. And before that, mental health was a carve out from all the other stuff, right? Medicaid was a Medicaid carve out. So we really focused just on the mental health. And then all of a sudden there's all this other stuff going on. And then definitions started getting changed, and it's just so much happened. I feel like then it seems to me, and I could be wrong, but I'd love to hear your opinion on this, is that with the Affordable Care Act, when things really started getting integrated, the medical model took the front row again and a front seat again. And it's like the medical model now has seemed to have the primary focus, and the doctors are driving the whole thing. And it's no longer, people are no longer looking to be recovery-based or recovery-oriented, right? They're looking to be something else. I don't know what else. I don't know what they're calling it. Integrated. They're looking for a lot of different things. So I would just like to hear your opinion on all of this and where you think has happened. So yeah, let's talk about that. Tell me what your opinion is on the way things are going these days in the behavioral health industry,
Well, first we were totally medical model,
right?
and that was, I in '89 or '88 I went to work for Spokane Mental Health as a case manager, and then nobody thought I should be working in that because I
There's
was
a
a
client in
client.
the break room. Oh my God.
Not only that, a client at the in the directors meetings and stuff. They didn't
Oh,
think that was good. And so, but I worked for Mary Higgins, who started Spokane Mental Health, really, and she saw the need for people with mental illness to know about recovery and what they could do and not what they couldn't do.
right.
And then we started this transition slowly over the years to a recovery based model.
Right.
And we got all these trainings and all this money for recovery based.
Yeah. Huge
And
federal grants. Remember those meant
yeah,
those federal transformation grants, mental health transformation grants?
it,
Millions of dollars.
it was wonderful. And then all of a sudden, now we're back to the medical model.
Yeah, I agree.
So where did we lose the pureness of it all?
I think we lost it in the Affordable Care Act when all of that,
Yes,
when all the systems got, all the funding got what they called braided and blended. It's all about where the money comes from and where the money goes and who's
yeah,
paying the bills is whoever pays the piper gets to choose the song. Isn't that how they say? So,
yes.
and so I think that that's kind of what happened is that it seems to me, but here's the other thing that I find really alarming in our transitions are the pendulum seems to really be swinging back the opposite direction for inpatient treatment, for forced inpatient treatment as a response to the nation's plague of homelessness. And that really concerns me
Yes.
too.
A
Yeah.
lot of it
Like,
really concerns me, and that is I think the worst thing that could happen.
I agree.
Can my wife say something?
Of course. Janine.
Okay. Well, I just want to say that parity sounded like a great idea with the whole Affordable Care Act. But
Mhm.
with that, then the insurance companies were able to say, okay, you only get 5 minutes with your doctor, your medical doctor, so you only get 5 minutes with your psychiatrist. What a great idea. And you want parity, so here's your
Yeah.
meds. That's what you get from your medical doctor.
Yeah.
And now we can have all these cost cutting measures.
Yeah.
And since the medical model is cheaper, it always comes down to money
It always comes
because
down to money.
it costs some money if you're going to sit. Always comes down to money
100%. Thank you.
for people. That's
I agree 100%. And I think also it comes down to power in
and
that
power.
in that like people with mental illness are so disempowered by their illness initially and by the system that they don't that you're just kind of navigating the system. And now the medical system is so hard to navigate. I don't know if you've had, well, you're with the VA system, but I've known family members that have had some significant medical issues, and the medical system itself is just so intractable and so
Mhm.
hard to navigate that, putting mental health into that may not have been the best idea. I mean,
But it,
we're all one, it's all one thing, head, body, mind, body, it's all one thing, but yet, yeah, it doesn't seem to be working well. Although I
you're
don't know.
free.
What has happened too is the peers that were very active in fighting and really knew how to advocate were dying off. And we did
People
all the
have,
work.
Yeah,
And now the younger peers don't know, excuse me, damn thing about how to advocate or how to get things done.
it's true.
And
And
so
it's
the
because they haven't had the need to,
yeah,
right?
we did it all
They
for
didn't,
'em.
yeah, because, so there are some advances that have happened, right? But I just feel like it could be so much better.
Yes.
And I feel like the problems that are currently in the mental health system are across the board in the entire healthcare system. It was easier when the mental health system was a carve out because we'd only had to impact this one little system. It's a big system, but we only had one system to attack and to really have impact on. Now it's like you've got this entire, like, it's like Hydra, right? You cut off one head and two come back.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, and it's also mental health is the buzzword now,
Yeah.
but there's still not a lot of understanding of serious chronic
Yeah. Yeah.
mental illness. They
Yeah.
want it to all be treated the same, and they want it to be a short term fix. And so they want you to come in and say, I'm getting a divorce. Oh, here, take a pill and you'll feel better and go out and take a jog.
Mhm.
And that's not going to help schizophrenia. And
Right.
it's not the same thing.
Right.
But
Right.
with
And we
it
have
being
primary
the
care
buzzword,
physicians.
everybody needs help for mental health. It's two different things. It's
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
So, I mean, it's good that people that are now
I mean, you
talking
don't
about their mental
you
health
don't
and
go
they're
to your
making it a
primary.
priority.
Right, absolutely, 100%. We need to be
I
talking
agree.
about
Yeah.
that.
So
People
that's why it's
need
like we've
to get
made
help.
strides, but at the same time,
Yes.
maybe it's a double-headed sword. It's a
Yeah,
complex, it's a
absolutely.
really complex issue.
Well, I always say it's like type 1 diabetes and type 2. You both need help, you both need care, but they're two different things. And
Yeah.
and lots of people do get care from their primary care physician for type 2, but most people, I think, do have a whole different struggle with type 1.
Yeah.
And it's just two different things. And so you can't go in and have the same treatment. And it is money.
It's all money.
Thanks,
I know what you
Janine.
do it.
Thank you for your input. That's awesome. Yep. It always comes down to money, which as an advocate is good to know because if it used to be, if you knew how the money flowed, you knew where to impact. But now it's like so complex.
Well,
There's still some
we
good players out there, right? There's still some people who understand it, who want it, who believe in it, and still really try to infuse it into their individual service delivery plan.
well, yes, there is, and there's a lot of good things that came out of what we were doing.
Yes.
But how do we get it back, and how do we build on it? That's the key. They've
Or
taken away.
or do we, this is where I'm at in my life right now, where I'm kind of thinking about retirement. You're retired, and I'm like, right behind you. I'm 67, although I look really good for 67.
Well, yeah.
Plus I have new knees, and so, I'm like a new person. But still, I'm like, how much longer do I want to do this? And it feels like every day there's a different challenge. So it's almost like I'm looking at old timers like, like Eleanor Owen, right? At what point did she say, okay, I'm done and I don't think she ever did, but I mean, at some point I feel like maybe it's time for the next people to come up. Maybe they're going to fight for something different, right? Maybe we fought for something and they're going to fight for something different. And we just don't know what that is yet. I think a lot of them see peer support as the thing that they can really make a lot of strides on. And that peer support is the place where they really can have some impact and make a difference in people's lives. And maybe once forced treatment gets back into the swing
But
again, people will be
how do
like, wait a
you,
minute, this isn't what we want. And they'll start fighting against that. I don't know.
yeah, how do you fight to really get that going again? And every time that you make a stride forward, you make two steps backwards. And the thing is, they're forgetting recovery.
Yeah.
Like they're getting peer support. Oh, peer support is fine.
Peer support is fantastic, but it's only one of 10. This is
Yeah.
why I've named this the other 9. So
Yeah.
let's talk about the other 9, John. I'm going to read the guiding principles of recovery, right? So recovery emerges from hope. Recovery is person driven. Recovery occurs via many pathways. Recovery is holistic. Recovery is supported by peers and allies. Recovery is supported through relationships and social networks. Recovery is culturally based and influenced. Recovery is supported by addressing trauma. Recovery involves individual, family, and community strengths and responsibility. Recovery is based on respect. So let me ask you this, John Murphy, what gives you hope?
What gives me hope? A lot of things give me hope. A lot. I see people changing and doing good and becoming all kinds of things. But the one thing that we are forgetting is that we have to really take each individual step and get it done. And what we're doing is we're honing in on one and forgetting the other 9.
Yeah.
Without a balance,
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
we'll lose the
I-
one.
Yeah. Which one of the
Because
guiding
we have-
principles do you think is the most important to reinstate or to refocus on? I can hold them up here to you.
No, I know.
I know, right? We know them at this point. We should know them. It's like 12 steps. You better know them.
Okay. Without hope, we have nothing.
Right.
And so we really have to focus in on giving people hope and building on hope. But people see the homelessness, they see hospitals closing, they see their meds going way up, all this stuff, and they're losing their hope. So
Yeah.
how do we give them hope again? See, and hope is what got me going and kept going, because I had the hope. I had Janine. I had, and that's what you need. You need hope for a better life, hope for better things for your family. But in the old days,
In spite of your presenting
illness,
condition, as they say.
yes, presenting the condition, you know, and they've taken away all our ways of talking about illnesses. We've got them. You can't say this or you can't say that. Why can't we say we're batshit crazy some of the time, and we need help with that? But they know they want us to speak more correctly.
Mhm.
And yes, over the years I've been batshit crazy lots of times,
Me too.
but I had hope.
Yes.
And when I kept hope, then I would come back to my normalcy, I guess you'd call
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Relatively, Janine said. And I'd move on.
Yeah. Right. Right. I mean, it's that knowledge for me when I still get in states where I'm like, this is not good, but I know it's temporary. And so as an older person, I've seen it come and go in my life. I know what helps. I know what brings it on. I know what can really help me. And I just write it out. And then I think to myself, what can I do different? And how can I do this better? So that so that the issues that present themselves in my life don't come on as fast as they are and as often, right? As deep.
Yeah.
So I know you got Janine in the room, but can you tell us how you met Janine and tell us the story?
No,
Tell the story, John.
I was locked up in a state hospital, which very few mentally ill people do get locked up in a state hospital. Less than 2%.
That takes talent. That's extra talent.
Yes, and so Janine said she could have lived a long time without knowing that. So I'm locked up in Eastern State Hospital because I planned on killing myself and got caught. I'm sitting there on the ward, and all of a sudden, through these 2 swinging doors, 4 guys or 5 guys, I can't remember, came crashing through the door, and there's a woman in between that they're trying to bring into the ward. And they're all sweating and stuff. And I could tell, I looked at her and I said, now that's the woman for me. And I ended up marrying her. And we've been together 37 years almost. So that's how I met her. We both needed each other. We saw each other at our worst
Yeah.
and knew that we could understand each other.
Yes. Yes. And you've both done
And
it
she
ways
gave those
amazing.
guys help.
Giving those
What?
guys help. Good job, Janine. So, I mean, it's so fantastic that you've had such an extraordinary, you've had a fantastic career. And so often people get the message that if you're diagnosed with a chronic or you're hospitalized at a state hospital, like forget it, right? Your life is over. That's it.
Yeah.
Your best hope is symptom stabilization. And I think that your life is such an example of recovery in that gone far beyond symptom stabilization, in that you've just really shown us that you don't have to be perfect to have a really good life and to have
No.
have an impact on other people and their life.
And
So
Janine and I did it together,
yeah,
and
you
and I
did.
think that's another big thing is that if you have a person that can help you and you both have hope, you can really do a lot more. And so I still say hope is the number one thing that people have to have. And people are losing hope.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing you say is that recovery is supported through relationships and social networks.
Certainly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, I know for myself, I'm very isolated. I really am. And I
Mhm.
tell myself this is not good. And then I avoid any opportunity to get out of my isolation because I really like just being here in my little hidey hole, crocheting like a mad woman.
Yes.
So can you talk a little bit, John, about
Well,
how over the years, the changes you've seen in how the system addresses trauma? Because it used to be people with trauma were really misdiagnosed as bipolar because it looks a lot like it, and or psychosis, because sometimes severe trauma can create psychosis, right? So can
Mhm.
you talk a little bit, because you worked in the system, right? You worked in the state hospital for a lot of years as the patient advocate. You worked with Passages Family Support there in a clinical way, but it's a peer organization, so it was all peers for the most part. And so talk a little bit about how you've seen the role of trauma come into the forefront of the
Well,
service
for so
delivery
many
system.
years, when we looked at a person, we asked what was wrong with them.
Right.
And now we ask what happened to them.
Yes.
And I think rooting out what kind of trauma they had over the years really gives them a leg up to understanding them.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of blame before. They always blamed,
Mm-hmm.
it's all your fault that you're sick. It's all,
Yeah.
and look at how the parents treated us.
Yeah.
They wanted to keep us locked up
Right.
because we were safe then.
Right. And let's
And
be clear, it was the only option for a lot of
yeah,
years.
yeah,
Yeah. Forced hospitalization was really the only option to help people that were in a really bad spot just to stay alive.
yeah. And now we're having more respite houses and stuff like that. And I think people find that when you're having a crisis, if you can go talk to somebody that's been through it, you don't go on into crisis. Finish crisis. You don't end up in the hospital,
Yeah.
and that's a really good indication that peers work.
Yeah.
But if you don't have hope, and if you don't have other things to build on, not just hope, but hope to me is the big thing. And if you can't build on the things, you're not going to make it because the system doesn't want you to. Well, they do want you to because they don't want you to cost them too much money.
Right.
I think the big thing in Washington, what happened is when it was run by the counties, it was so much better. But when we gave it back to the insurance companies,
Hmm.
the insurance companies looked at profit only.
Right.
So
Well, but then you
that
have
really
some
throws.
I mean, the only nonprofit insurance company is Community Health Plan of Washington.
Yeah,
And the difference is stark. I mean, they really have some extraordinary programs that are
yeah.
based on really recovery, right?
Mhm.
They've been really promoting the rep. They've contracted with me to do some really fun stuff around recovery. I
Yeah,
think they believe it. And I'm sure every state has something similar. I hope.
yeah. But how do we build on that? We need more of those. But is the state going to contract with more?
I don't know. That's a whole different bidding process that I'm not involved in.
Well, yes, it
'Cause
is,
I don't
but
know,
it's
right? I'm not gonna.
intricate with moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's, well, that's it.
Well,
Yeah.
interesting. I remember years ago, a bunch of us were sitting around at a hotel somewhere around the pool, sitting outside. It was you and me. I don't know if you were there, but Becky was there, and Brad and me, and I remember saying to Brad, "Gosh, it just seems like we're just not invited to the table anymore." And he said, "The tables are gone. The tables
Yeah.
are gone." So that whole process of having people involved in the policy making decision has really shifted.
Hmm.
I think it's shifting back because there seems to be some attempts at that, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure. It's not like it was,
Well,
but that doesn't mean it's bad.
I think so, but we have to get. We have to. I'm a big believer in telling people about the history of the mental health system
Yeah.
and of peers to show them, can you, if you ask a peer specialist right now, most peer specialists, how did you get to where you're going? They'll say, oh, we took a CPC training.
Yeah. I know.
They don't know the history. They don't know
But
the.
here's the thing, John. Those people were never told that they shouldn't get married, that they shouldn't have kids, that they shouldn't hold down a job,
Right.
that they should just stay home and take their medicine. Those people that are coming up behind us they've been treated and taken care of by an entirely different system that gives them an
Yeah.
entirely different message. You have a mental illness, you can still have a good life. So that I think has changed significantly. And so they don't have to overcome despair in order to move forward. The ravages come from the illness, not necessarily from the system, like which is what used to happen, right? You'd get ravaged by your illness and then you'd get devastated by the system because they
Hmm.
diagnose you and then say, that's pretty much the end of whatever life you thought you were going to have. So
Yeah.
that I don't think that happens so much anymore. And so thank God that's over, hopefully. But I think but yeah, so that's what I say. I think that these folks coming up now, they're gonna have a whole different something to fight against. I don't know what it's gonna look like, but we all have our own battles and we all have our own journeys. So it'll be interesting to see. Because I tell you what, I don't take on very many battles anymore. I'm just tired and I just don't have the energy to take on a whole system of care anymore. Used to be fun. Now it's just exhausting.
Oh, I know. We used to have a lot of fun. We used to corner it like the mental health director, and three or
Yeah.
four of us sit there and drill her or
Yeah.
him
And make some
until they
great
give us what
points.
we wanted.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that was a lot of fun.
It really was.
There's a few of us in the state.
Yeah.
It was fun to have the power. Oh,
Yeah. It
Murphy's
was
coming.
fun to
Oh, Jadweziak's coming. Oh, Barry's coming.
Hey, you
Yeah.
remember Jennifer Bliss when she first got hired? I'll tell you a little story. Jennifer, she told me that her boss, who's was it Chris? Chris, what's Chris's last name?
Imhoff.
Yes. Chris Imhoff said to her, I don't ever want Mary Jedwisiak mad at me again.
Hmm.
Those were her marching orders when she first got hired. You know, I mean, then you could really make a difference in the system. And you just
Yeah.
called it out. Like, hey, what the hell? Not so much anymore. They don't care about us. I don't know if they don't care about us. They don't need us. So there's that.
We don't let them. We have to make them understand that they still need us.
Every time I go to a meeting now, I get so triggered, and I hate that word, but I get activated because I just feel so completely disrespected.
Yeah.
So
And that's the way we were. That's the way we were in the 80s.
yeah.
and
Well,
early
but
90s.
they were confused in the 80s, right? They didn't quite understand why we were coming forward and who the hell we thought we were. But they didn't disrespect us with the same level of disdain that I seem to get now from some policymakers. So I just don't go there. I mean, I could, I just choose not to.
Well,
I
I
don't
used
know.
to love the marches and going to Detroit and all those places and watching people get locked up. And, I love that. I'd love to go
Yeah.
to California and
Yeah. I never got locked up. I never did any
Oh,
marches.
yeah, I
But,
didn't get locked up. I should have been a couple times, but
I did enjoy holding people to account. Like, hey, this is just the way we want. How can you explain this? And so anyway, that's because intellectually, I loved the intellectual challenge of solving, of really kind of unraveling something and advocating. And then, and then what would happen here in my community, there were some specific policymakers down here where when you figured out how it worked so that you could accurately advocate, they would change. They would be like, oh, yeah, we're not doing it. They would change. So you'd have to change your tactics. And it was a cat and mouse. It was cat and mouse.
yeah. But
Good
the thing
times,
that
John
I
Murphy.
think
Good
that
times.
is really sad is we're not looking at recovery in the same light as we did.
Yeah.
And so I think with so many people that are homeless and stuff,
Yeah.
there's no place for them to go when they
Right.
get to bed. It's going to get worse. It really is. And so, but the
Yeah.
infrastructure isn't
Looking
there
at the mental
anymore.
health system to solve homelessness is like, it's like trying to pay your property taxes for your house over at the DMV. Like
Yeah,
they're both governments. They're both going to take your money, but it's not going to work, right? It's
yeah,
just not going to work. And I think that people are looking for an easy solution to a very complex problem.
yeah.
And
And there is no easy
there is
fix.
no easy solution. And so,
Yeah.
yep.
So,
Building hospitals
and it's
is not gonna solve homelessness.
no, but what do we do for the homeless that are mentally ill? 80% of them
I don't
are
know.
mentally ill.
That's a high statistic. I know
What?
we've had some success here in our community with some peer-run homeless crisis shelters where they
Mhm.
bring people in, and with that comes peer support, and they get them connected with supports. And when I say peer support, I mean formerly homeless peers are helping them to get reconnected and get off the streets because it's a process.
Yeah. Well, when I said 80%, I don't think it's 80%. I bet you 60%.
Are you just making up statistics?
No, because if you look at most of the mentally ill, there's some reason they're besides being lazy and stuff that they're homeless.
Yeah, I don't think being lazy is a
It could
thing
be
that
the
causes
economy.
homelessness.
It could,
Yeah,
I know people that are working 2 jobs that are homeless because they can't afford an apartment,
that's right.
and they can't afford their meds and they can't afford this and that. So
Okay.
that's it. It's so
Okay,
complex.
I just Googled it, John Murphy. On
Mhm.
one given night in 2023, 31% of the homeless population reported having a serious mental illness, and 24% conditions related to chronic substance use disorder.
What percent?
31%.
Yes, 31%, but then reported, but there's so many of them that don't know they're mentally
Well, then
ill.
there's another one that says 1 in 8 homeless individuals are having either major depression, 12.6%, or schizophrenia spectrum disorders, 12.4%. So yeah, it's it's still a lot. Oh, here's another one that says 21% of individuals experiencing homelessness report having a serious mental illness, and 16% reported having a substance use disorder. So, so okay, so that's like there's 75%. If we use let's go in the middle and say 25%, there's 75% that don't have a serious chronic mental illness, other than, the fact that they were experiencing trauma and they're having, which can create a lot of duress and stress.
Mhm.
The trauma of homelessness alone is gonna be pretty
Yeah.
significant. So so you can't, this is why if you're trying to build mental hospitals to take care of homeless people, what about the other 75%? Or the people that aren't gonna go?
But they don't need to be in hospitals.
No, they don't. Yeah,
That's the whole thing.
it's not only, it's the most expensive form of treatment, and it is and it's the absolutely bad things happen to people in hospitals. Being hospitalized is really traumatic.
Yeah,
Oh my God,
it's
listen,
really horrible.
it's really horrible. This is the thing about being an advocate. It's really easy to identify the problems, and really good advocates work for solution. And I don't have any solutions anymore. That might be why I'm kind of backing away significantly from the advocacy game, because I just don't have any answers. Questions have
Well,
gotten very different.
well, yeah, and it's so complex because
Yeah.
people that are going into state hospitals now,
Yeah.
it's so hard to diagnose them because we don't know what's drugs.
Mm,
Uh, they're younger, they're meaner, it's horrible on the people that have to work in state hospitals. I don't know how to explain it. But I talk to people that work at Eastern, and they say that the population has changed so much
yeah.
that it's not just mentally ill that are ending up there. It's really drug addicted people
Yeah.
that are ending up there.
Yeah.
And what do you do?
I don't know. Yeah. So it's like you got to add a whole level of drug treatment to the state hospital.
Yeah,
Jeez. Oh, John Murphy, I've really, really, really love having you here. Plus, I really love you as a human being. You're one of my favorite people in the whole world.
you're one of my favorite people too.
Thanks. Do you have any last words for the folks out there that might be listening to this first edition of the Other Nine podcast?
Look at your history. Find out where the history is coming from. It's just like, I'm going to say this. If you look at what's happening in the politics and you look back at what happened in Germany and stuff, it's on the same course. If you don't know the history of what's happening to the mentally ill, how can you help the mentally ill? Do you understand?
I do. So we should look back at our history and find lessons and find tools that can be repeated.
Yeah.
What do you think is the biggest victory that the consumer survivor ex-patient movement has had?
Having peer specialists.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right.
Because at one time, when I'd say I worked for the state or I worked for a mental health agency, people couldn't believe it that I admitted I was mentally ill too,
Yeah.
because I shouldn't have been working because I was mentally ill. I should be, sitting in a corner sucking my thumb.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right.
I've had
All
a
right.
good fight.
We've had a good fight. yes, we've had a good fight.
Mhm.
And not a lot of people can say that.
That's true.
Not everybody has something they need to fight for or fight
Mhm.
against. So I find that to be really significant.
Yes.
I love you, John.
Love you too.
All right.
I'll call you
Bye.
tonight.
Okay. Bye, Janine.
Bye.
She says bye.
All right. Good enough. I'll see you later. Thanks so much.